Welcome everybody to another episode of the Anime Lounge podcast. Today we have our July 4th special. We're going to be covering the 3 My Hero Academia movies in tribute to All Might. Today, my adult beverage of choice is going to be Journeyman's Distillery Featherbone Bourbon Whiskey, and I'm going to be chasing that down with the Leinenkugels. Alec, what's yours?
My adult beverage of choice is Old Scout Smooth Ambler, an Indiana bourbon, and I'm chasing that with a Leinenkugel's Summer Shandy. Great for July 4th summer day or night.
And I am going to be doing the exact same thing as Alec, so I'm not even going to say everything all over again.
The reason we are drinking bourbon is because bourbon is an exclusive American-only alcohol. So in tribute to All Might and his attacks named after American cities, we are drinking American bourbon.
Awesome.
Cool with that.
And that's how we do it. So, since we are covering all 3 movies, just to give you guys an introduction, the first 3 movies are 2 Heroes, Heroes Rising, and World Heroes Mission. And we're going to go in order as we cover those.
But before we get started into the 3 movies, Lance, can you give us that Lance's lessons for this episode?
Alright, for today's episode's Lance's Lessons, we are going to do the Japanese word for green. As many of you My Hero Academia fans might already know, the word for green is Midori. That is M-I-D-O-R-I. Midori, which is painfully obviously appropriate because our main character's name is Midoriya, which is just a slight play off of the Japanese word for green.
And he definitely makes it obvious that he likes green.
Oh yeah. His green hair, his green suit. I think he even has that green lightning. Does he have green lightning or is it bluish?
I think it's like a greenish color, yeah.
I think it's more green when he goes into his all-for-one little specials. He definitely has that green sparks around him, so I think it's appropriate for his name.
His Super Saiyan
look. Yeah, it's definitely Super Saiyan-esque. Okay, so like we said, we are going to be covering all 3 movies up to today's point. That will be 2 Heroes, Heroes Rising, and World Heroes Mission. And to get us started, we will start out with movie number 1, and Matt has a quick synopsis for that one.
Alright, so 2 Heroes is My Hero Academia's first movie, which was released in 2018. For this one, you follow along with Class 1A traveling to Island, which is full of scientists developing support items for heroes. Villains capture the island and all the heroes, requiring Class 1A without provisional licenses to rescue all the heroes. So as we, like every other episode, I always like to start off with favorite characters. Now with this one, I'm not going to be super picky because we have all of Class of 1A and you have some support heroes. I know we haven't really covered My Hero Academia in any of our podcasts, but you guys are all caught up with My Hero Academia, correct?
Right. So yes. We're just going to continue talking as if everyone is already caught up with through season 5 at this point?
Yep, season 5.
So let's just talk as if everybody knows everything about everything.
Yep.
And I mean, oddly enough, we're going to go back in time and talk about what happened a couple of years ago.
Yeah, because this is from 2018. So do you guys have a favorite character? Whether it be from this movie, like kind of drew you from this movie, or just in the show in general?
I guess in the show in general, my favorite character, has to be Bakugo. I love his comic relief, his absolute badassness. And who doesn't want the power to explode things with your own sweat? That's just so cool. But one thing I do want to put in, just as a childhood, just nostalgia for me, I really love the introduction to the giant hero, Godzilla, who was a very accurate representation of Godzilla wearing a kimono and even had the traditional Godzilla roar scream to go along with his character. That actually, it brought a huge smile to my face seeing his part being brought into My Hero Academia. So that was just a great part of my childhood being brought into this movie.
Oh yeah, and I gave a good quick little giggle as soon as he gave like that peace sign too. Like, what the hell does Godzilla have to do with that? Like, it was perfect just bringing those two together. Like, it's whatever.
Yeah, it's a good little homage to Godzilla in that just quick 2-second spot.
Cameo?
Yeah.
And I think from what I think I've understood is that like nobody has the rights to officially own the title of Godzilla. So I think everybody can say Godzilla without getting sued. So I think Godzilla is just a free character for everybody to use. So don't take that out of my word. But from what I think I remember, I think Godzilla is just a free character for everybody to use.
Okay.
So I think it's fun that My Hero Academia was able to use a traditional Japanese monster, kaiju. Kaiju is the actual term to bring into their own world. So that's cool.
Okay.
Who was your favorite character in the show?
In Two Heroes specifically, I'm gonna have to actually go with you on Bakugo. Bakugo is one of two of my favorite characters, and of course I'm gonna be like most of our fans, and I'm gonna jump between two favorite characters. But like you were saying, Bakugo just has that, like, to me, he has that super anger-filled, like, just fucking die concept about him, and that always cracks me up. Like, just in the episodes where he wants that, like, he wants to name his title.
quirk.
He wants his hero's name to be, like, Killmaster. I don't even remember. It's been so fucking long.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But
super explosive murder or something like that.
Yeah, like despite how long ago it's been and how bad we're gonna butcher it at this point, the fact that he wants like his enemies to die, and he says that often in all these movies, and like he just brings out that just explosiveness. I mean, obviously because he's got that explosive quirk.
Yep.
He always makes me laugh. Like he's got that assholeness about him, but it's to the point where it's like, yeah, dude, he's making me laugh.
But he's the asshole that cares, like he really wants to protect people, and he almost gets mad at his need to protect people, but he always does it without a second thought. That's why he's a true hero, but in an anti-hero sort of way.
I'm glad you said anti-hero, because he's a true hero because all he cares about is being number one, and he's going to do whatever it takes to be number one. And through his specific route, it's going to be through power, explosive power, through his quirk, obviously, but...
Well, and saving everybody. Like, he does that. He does save everybody, so... That kind of helps. And, yeah, he kind of reminds me of, like, a newer Vegeta. Like, if Vegeta was younger, that's how he would be.
I agree.
And not an asshole. Like, a legitimate asshole at that age.
I've never thought about it that way, but yes, I fully agree with you there.
Yeah, and even to expand on that, like, yeah, Bakugo is 100% Vegeta, and Midoriya is 100% Goku. Like, their personalities are 100% the same. I feel like the complete idiot for never comparing the two, but they are spot on the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good job, Matt. Yeah. I like that.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed that one. Yeah, especially when I was watching this movie, I'm like, he's just like Vegeta. Like, everything is about...
Don't tell me what to do.
I'm gonna do what you told me to do, but don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to talk about Melissa real quick, because in the beginning of this movie, we learned that Melissa is the daughter of...
I didn't get to say my favorite hero. What the hell?
I'm sorry.
No, man. So mean.
So, Matt, who's your favorite hero in this movie?
Since I want to be a little different and not go like everybody else, because it is Bakugo.
Yes,
as far as the show is concerned, it's Bakugo. But when it comes to the movie, I think it's going to be All Might.
Going superpower, okay.
Because I love the fact that you get to see young All Might. And then, because I've watched all this show, I like the tribute to young All Might, and just the super badass fight at the end pretty much makes up for all the extra stuff in the middle that you don't really get to see much of.
Yeah, not too much. I totally appreciated how we got to see a younger version of All Might, especially coming to America, like, just to expand his horizons or whatever.
Like a work study, but in America, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, he was a foreign exchange student, basically. And we just got to see him outside of his elements and before he became popular, and that's where where shit started. Obviously, we learned that through this movie, I don't know if this is going to be considered, I mean, typically movies are not considered canon, but like we learned that Dave gave All Might his bronze, his silver, his gold, his something else suit. Like there was 4 different suits that was given to All Might through Dave.
Yeah, it was all the suits were all made by Dave because of his work study in the beginning, where his shirt got all ripped up, saving everybody from the fire.
Right. And I thought that was super cool.
You know,
And you get to see the first time ever invention of the California Smash.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Good point. Because now, because of Dave, All Might had an infinity for naming his, superpower moves after, American cities because of Dave.
Mm-hmm.
And where he met Dave was in California. So that's where he became, the California Smash. That was his first one.
The Detroit Smash.
Carolina Smash.
Yep.
That's something I wanted to talk about because I'm not sure if I missed it, but is there a difference between the Detroit Smash, the Carolina Smash, the California Smash? Does it have something to do with the power level used?
I think so.
With Detroit being a city, Carolina being a state, and California being a much bigger state, does it have to do with the power level used in the Smash? Or is it like a punch or a kick? I've never been able to understand the difference.
So All Might only does punches. You only ever see him do, well, let me rephrase that. You only ever see him do punches. Whether he does kicks or not, I'm not 100% sure. But you only ever see him do punches. And I'm going to go with power level just because in his fight with All For One, he does the United States of Smash.
United States of Smash!
And it's his last hurrah kind of, so it's everything he's got into it.
Yeah, so it's his version of 100%.
Yeah. So I think it has to do with the amount of effort he's putting into it.
I can get behind that one. That makes sense. I mean, of course, that's us without Googling anything. So
Yeah, that's true.
let's just go with that one.
Okay, I've just always been kind of curious because I was kind of watching. I'm like, how is that different from Detroit Smash?
Yeah, because All Might has a handful of different punches, but then we have Deco here with finger flicks and punches and kicks, and he has a wider variety of attacks.
Well, that's because, let's be honest, Deku's body just wasn't meant for All Might's strengths.
Right, exactly. He was given too much up front.
And so he needed, well, in this movie, he only has punching, but...
In this, because we're going back in time where he can still only punch.
Yeah, because they don't even have provisional licenses yet, so yeah, he can barely control his power, I think, at this point. Because I know...
Up to 20%.
Yeah, so it's still pretty good, at least for that. I thought it was 5% is all he could control, up till he got his provisional license, but that was what, season 1?
That's been forever ago.
I think that was season 1 at that point, so I'm not 100% sure.
But obviously in this movie, he's obtained enough control to do plenty of damage.
Yep.
So you were bringing up Melissa Shield, the daughter of David Shield.
Right, yeah.
What exactly did you want to go in on her about?
Yeah, so we learn that in the beginning of the movie, we get introduced to Melissa, who is the one she's the one that invited All Might and Deku both to Island, correct?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, and after we learn that they got invited, we learn that Melissa is the daughter of
David Shield.
And David Shield is the sidekick, essentially, of All Might, who's the one that created all the suits and drove that super speedster red car / jet thing, which was super crazy, whatever. Just to get this out of the way to begin with, Melissa calls All Might Uncle Might.
Yes.
Now, I've heard other conversations, I've read other conversations, and no one's ever talked about this, and I thought this was fucking obvious, and no one's ever talked about it. Yes, she might be Dave's daughter, and she calls All Might Uncle Might. Before I bring one more thing into the mix, do you guys think that she's actual Uncle Might, or just because she's a best friend of Dave, that she's yeah, he might as well be family. He's Uncle Might.
So you're asking if All Might and David Shield are related? Is that your question?
Maybe David
Melissa.
Shield married All Might's sister, so that would because she is blonde-haired and the exact same blonde hair as All Might. She calls him Uncle Might. However, they make no mention whatsoever of her mom.
Yes.
And I think that would be pretty important, and if they, like, I mean, I have plenty of people that I called uncle when I was little, but they weren't my uncle. They were just my dad's, college friends or whatever.
Super close friends, exactly.
So I think it's kind of similar with her because they made no mention. I thought it was kind of funny that at first I thought the same as you. Maybe they might be related, but when they made absolutely no mention of her mom, I was like, well, All Might probably would have made some mention of his sister should she have been there, kind of thing. So I kind of tossed it afterwards.
Right. But it could still go the other way in favor of maybe All Might and Melissa being related. And only kind of saying that the only reason I'm going to push any further towards that is because Dave has brown hair, Melissa has blonde hair, All Might has blonde hair. Melissa calls All Might Uncle Might. What if there is an actual connection there? So that's as far as I want to throw that. I mean, obviously this is a movie. It's non-canon.
What we know of.
For what we know at the moment. I mean, of course, the creator can throw this down. They can make whatever. They can make this connect in any way possible. I just want to say, I think there could be an actual connection here.
That would be fun. I like the idea of it.
Uncle Might, blonde hair. It's good enough for me.
I like it, but I don't think it's. I don't think there's anything to it. I think it's just something that they put together. Yeah.
Yeah, just diving a little deep there. That's all right.
So the villains of Two Heroes, they were originally supposed to be fake villains putting on an act, and then they turned to be actual villains putting on an act of being fake villains by the order of Sam. What did you think of this villain group as compared to the League of Villains?
Ooh, compared to the League of Villains. If you're gonna put in that aspect, I would say these guys are shit compared to the League of Villains. Because the League of Villains was a lot more like brutal, like they were more upfront, and like they didn't give a shit about hostiles, and they got the job done as fast as possible. But from what I took from the movie was like, I don't know, it kind of seemed like they were waiting on an answer for something because it took forever for anything to happen to begin with.
So they played their role super well but they were waiting for Sam and David to get the quirk enhancing ability research and object. That's what they were waiting on, because once they got the object, that's when the villain, the Magneto looking guy, he sprang in and shot
Sam.
Yeah, he shot Sam. That's what it was. So as far as their villaininess, they were fine. They're your atypical like villains. If it wasn't for the fact that All for One's
the bad guy.
Yep. If it wasn't for the fact that All for One had given the Magneto dude, whose name was Wolfram, I think, the extra abilities, he would have been essentially nothing. Like he wouldn't have been that difficult to take down. So
because he already had the ability to control metal.
Yep.
So Magneto style.
Yep.
And then he was given the All for One power additional, like super muscle.
Yeah, the
super strength.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he was able to enhance everything, multiple fold.
Yeah. And it was, I will say the fight was definitely my favorite. That last fight was super badass.
That was awesome. And I love just all, you got to see everyone get their asses handed to them, but at the same time, just kind of not give up, keep trying. And I loved the side-by-sides that they kept doing of Midoriya and All Might, and showing that Midoriya is following in his footsteps and, following the same fight patterns and all of that good stuff. And it was just like, oh, cool. Like this is back when he was like in training to be All Might, and it really, it really showed his progression into the hero that he's born to be.
Yeah.
That All Might wants him to become.
And to add on top of that, All Might is the one that was like, don't do this. Wait, who am I kidding? I would do this if I was in his shoes. So I loved that, like, All Might wanted to protect him. He's like, I would do the exact same thing, and I'm gonna approve of everything that Midoriya is doing at this moment, because we need to win, and this is how it's gonna get done. Mm-hmm. So that was really awesome.
And he's following in All Might's footsteps while still doing it his own way.
Right.
Which is really nice to see. And that kind of brings into something else. What'd you think of the the reason as to why David hired the villains. You guys remember what that reason was?
Yeah, so he had proposed this quirk magnifier to the board of directors, let's say, of the Island, and he thought that this would be a great way to better humanity, better all of the heroes, and all they saw was a weapon that was going to be taken by villains, which is true. Potentially true.
Yeah.
And what Sam saw it as a money-making machine. He knew he could sell it, whether it was to heroes or villains. He wanted his research to be worth something. So in order to protect society as a whole, the board of directors confiscated the item, confiscated the research, and prohibited them from developing it any further.
Yep.
So that's why it was taken in the first place. It wasn't, I don't think this was a bad move on the board, but I felt like it was a real shot to David Shield because, this was his life's prized possession. This was a quirk magnifier and something that he really believed in, and then all they saw was something that could be used for evil, and he didn't see it that way at all. So the only way he thought he could get it back was to employ evil to rescue it for himself in order to save All Might, whose quirk skills which he didn't know were being passed on to someone else. He just saw the rapid depletion of All Might's ability, so he wanted to save his friend.
Yeah.
And he was going to go through any measure necessary to get it back.
Yeah, that's kind of like a deeper synopsis right there.
Yeah, then, it was great because then at the very end you see, David sees a young All Might in Midoriya after the fight, so I thought that was great that it was like he essentially learned from his mistakes. It's like, oh, yes, so my thought process was wrong, that even though I believe that the world is basically going to fall to the villains if All Might loses all his power isn't necessarily true.
One last thing I would like to bring up is the fight between Todoroki, Bakugo, Kirishima, and the Purple Hulk and Matter Displacement villains. I thought that was an awesome fight where they all got to show their abilities, kind of minus Kirishima. He got slammed to a wall pretty much right away.
Yeah, and plus they kind of made him freaking dumb because they even played a joke on like, dude, just turn off your quirk, make yourself smaller, get out of that little hole that you're in, and then you can turn your quirk back on. I was like, I had a good laugh about that one. That was pretty funny. I forgot about that one for a quick second.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had those two mini bosses.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The Purple Hulk guy and the Matter Displacement guy. Let's for our viewers, because it might have been a minute since our guys have listened to this. So we have, I don't know how much more to describe a Purple Hulk guy, but let's just talk about the Matter Displacement. This guy had rapid movements. He had these arms that can clamp, and he was whirlpooling through water. What else am I missing? This guy was doing such random crazy shit. I felt like I could barely keep up. He was fighting Todoroki this entire time.
He was a very good match for Todoroki.
Yeah.
Yes. And where we are in the series, we kind of have to remember that Todoroki didn't use fire at that point.
Yeah, he was still strictly ice.
So it was...
Which is fine. He was battling underwater at this moment for, a small period of time.
Yeah.
Which I thought he was going to, trap him. But this villain was, way above him.
I think you're mixing a fight with the last movie.
Yeah, that's the last movie.
Seriously?
Yeah,
that's the last movie.
So the Matter Displacement guy, he just kind of had the big hands that would, make things disappear and then turn into something else.
Yep.
Alright, so the underwater battle was in Heroes Rising?
Yeah. That's with the super,
demon thing.
Over strength, over muscular, not a demon dude.
This guy has the ability to displace matter.
And you really see that when he's fighting Todoroki, towards the end of the fight, when Todoroki finally figures out how to actually fight him because his ice kind of falls in these spherical forms right in front of their fight. And then you also see it at the very end when he's attacking Bakugo, and part of his sleeve, which is obviously full of Bakugo sweat, lands on top of him, and Todoroki just blows him the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, because this Matter Displacement guy swaps out space and time onto himself, and all of a sudden Bakugo's sweat is, touching his body, and then he's like, dude, throw some fire on that, blow that the fuck up, and that's how that guy is defeated.
Nope.
Yeah.
Because he gone down fucked up.
I thought that was a pretty solid semi-boss boss fight. It was, it showed them working together, explosions along with fire and ice. I thought it went perfect.
Yep.
And they were, their whole purpose was to get Midoriya and the whole rest of the class of 1A that was there, get them away, buy them time. And I thought it was just a perfect fight scene to do that.
Yep. Yeah, it was a good battle. And as we approach the end of this movie, it's when we start to fight Super Magneto here. I'm going to say up front, I think out of all three of the movies, to me, this is my favorite villain of the end. You guys can either agree or disagree at the moment. If you disagree, don't say why. We can say this at the end. But to me, this is my favorite one. And to me, it's because it was just something that they needed to overpower. And it took two legit powers. It took Midoriya and All Might to come together, give both of their super punches. Nothing out of, the supernatural to come out of the way. It just took two powers together to take out the final boss.
Yep.
And I thought that was just, for a first movie, I thought that was a natural way to end the first boss.
I definitely really enjoyed that fight.
And
I wrote, sorry, I just needed to say, I wrote a little note. I wish I was watching this while I was working out because I was sitting here watching this on my break at work and I was getting so fucking pumped. Like, dude, all I wanted to do was just work out. Like, if I was running, I'd be fucking sprinting. If I was working out, I'd be fucking pumping. Dude, that little fight scene pumped me the fuck up. I loved that scene. It's my favorite fight scene out of all three of them.
I will say I was working out while watching this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a little jealous.
So, kind of tying into that is a little bit of symbolism that I really liked watching this and being very American 4th of July-ish. The movie starts off with two bald eagles flying off the coast of Island, and it ends with two bald eagles flying and circling around each other, just like All Might and Midoriya are always with each other. So I thought it was just really cool American themes that went along with Midoriya and All Might, and I just love the symbolism of the bald eagles and with the movies.
Yeah, definitely. I actually didn't even, now that you say it, I remember that part, but I didn't even pick up on that one until just now.
Yeah, I agree. Didn't think about it too much. I think this pretty much concludes our first movie catch up. Yep. Before we get into our second movie, how about we take a quick break?
Okay.
All right, let's go.
Good.
Hey, what's up? Tate Norman here. I'm the co-host of Drunken Ship Podcast. Join me, Jordan, and Brian as we discuss nerd culture. From the hottest video game coverage to upcoming movies, we got you covered. There's also episodes where it's simply just for laughs. Though the most important part of this podcast is for you to have fun. You like that? Sweet. You can find us at your favorite podcast services by searching Drunken Ship Podcast. That's DRUNKEN Ship Podcast. For those who like video-based podcasts, you can find us at youtube.com/drunkenship. See you there.
Welcome back. This is Alec with the Anime Lounge podcast. We'll now be covering the second movie, Heroes Rising, with My Hero Academia. This movie came out in 2019, and it is about the story of Class 1A, and now that they have their provisional licenses, they're performing actual real hero work on the relatively safe island of Nobu for a work-study course. They are attacked by a subgroup of the League of Villains, who are in search of stealing an island inhabitant's quirk to sustain his form due to Dr. Garaki's all-for-one experiment. So now we're going to go into the characters. My favorite character of this movie probably has to go with Midoriya, just a classic main character. I thought he made a lot of great decisions throughout the whole movie. He believed in every single mission. He put his whole heart and soul in every mission, whether it was something simple of, saving someone from drowning to finding a lost kid who wasn't really lost. He put his whole heart and soul in everything, and that's what you like seeing about this character. He really believes in being number one, and the way to get there is by giving 110% to everything he does.
Yeah, I agree. And because you're saying this, let me just tie in again, one of my favorite, like, quick LOL moments is that little girl. I didn't write down her name, but the sister of the main brother.
Oh, Shimano?
Sure. In the very beginning, she made a call for, a lost person, and Deku ends up showing up, and she's like, "It took you 62 minutes to get here. You are a terrible hero." And like, I had a quick laugh about that. Cause like, she was fucking testing these guys, and he's like, "If it took you over an hour to handle my emergency, this proves that you are not the hero that is prepared to take on such a simple task." And it threw me through a loop, like, yes and no. Like, it depends on, like, I'm sure Deku tried his hardest to get there, but sometimes shit happens. I don't know, like,
it's not easy to find a kid. Like, let's be completely honest.
Yeah.
So
I thought finding a kid in an hour is pretty good. You find a kid in an hour, like, that's the goal. I mean,
right?
Worst comes to worst, they never get found. But here's, Midoriya, Deku, he's finding this kid in 62 minutes, and Midoriya kind of laughs to himself. He thought he had done a good job, and here's this little girl chastising him, saying, hey, a lot could have happened in 62 minutes. How come you didn't save him faster?
Exactly.
And he was like, I do have to do this better.
Yeah, and I would have thought the exact same. Like, yeah, he did the job, and he did it. To me, I guess my standards would have been in under half a day, I guess. Apparently my standards are a piece of shit, because I would have never given my standards a second thought, and here we are, this tiny little girl saying 62 minutes is too long, and obviously, clearly, finding a missing person in under an hour or even over an hour is just too long. It's an emergency. Emergencies need to happen immediately. An hour is an insane amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't blame her for that. Like,
yep.
It's crazy.
And at least Deku took it in stride. He's like, yep, you're right. Because, if Bakugo would have gotten chastised like that, he would have probably blown up in her face.
Literally.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been a whole different story.
So, Alec, your favorite character was Midoriya. What about you, Lance?
How about we go a little bit strange and say my favorite character was the villain, Chimera.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Chimera.
Okay.
I thought Chimera was fucking amazing.
Okay.
He was powerful.
He was powerful as fuck, dude. They should not have stopped him. I'm at the same time, root for the heroes. I'm glad Shoto fucking stuffed his hand down his throat and froze the fuck out of him from within. But to begin with, this dude had insane powers. He had like this hyper beam ability coming out of his mouth that was fire. His fire hyper beam. How about, let's just say that. Let's just throw an ability on top of that. This dude was insanely strong. This Chimera guy was just amazing.
Yep. And the whole time he's just smoking a cigar like it's nothing.
Exactly, like he even lit it. Like his cigar was just sitting in his mouth, and his hyper beam firepower just puffed it on. Just made it start out like no big deal. Dude was super casual. This guy was just amazing. I think if Chimera was part of the original storyline, he'd be a way worse villain, a way worse guy to just deal with in general.
Oh yeah, they took most of the class, or what is it, five of the students to not even really beat him, just freeze him in place. So it was insane because he was taking full kicks from,
Lita?
Yeah, I wrote down Tsukiyomi, Tail Guy, Ida, Sugar Rush Guy, and I'm pretty sure there was even like 2 more people on top of that. Like, it took like half of Class 1A just to take this guy down, and ultimately, Shoto was the one that froze him.
And it took him freezing over to do it too.
Oh, I love how they do that too. Like, when Shoto overuses his freezing ability, that half his body is like frozen. He has to suffer his repercussions of overusing his own power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess we never really see that on his firepower, do we? Because he never
overdoes his fire.
He never overdoes his, yeah.
I mean, he burns his clothes off and stuff, but like, he never really suffers from the burns.
Yeah, there's no suffer. I guess that would hurt.
Whereas like, he really freezes himself to the point where you can tell he's hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll see.
Yeah, so I mean that pretty much covers that. So Matt, what's your favorite character?
I kind of want to also go a little weird and kind of go with 9.
Oh, okay,
You
good
wanna go
point.
super villain, and why is he your favorite?
Just because I loved all of his abilities, and just to kind of go a little bit different. And he was the villain because he wanted to take over the world. Yada, do all that stupid crap. But like, I thought all of his abilities were super awesome.
Yeah.
Can we go through all 9 of them? Because I was trying to count, and I only got to a few of them. I never got to 9, though, and I kind of want to see what your guys' take on his
Yeah,
powers.
I wrote everything down.
Okay.
So Lance, why don't you?
Okay, and here's the spoiler: there is not 9.
No, there's not 9.
Wait, what?
There isn't.
His name's 9, but he doesn't have 9 powers?
He has the capability of reaching 9.
Yes.
And this was also under the assumption that he would have absorbed the kid that was going to replenish his cells. So that needed to be one of them, but he never made it. So here's the deal. I wrote everything down. Let's just go from the beginning. One of them was air wall.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that as his defense thing. Air shield. Shield hero type deal. And then he had like this fingernail beam thing. We saw that plenty of times where he had these finger beams. And then he had, I wrote down gust of wind.
Yep.
And I don't know if that was a quirk in itself or if that was just like a super action of the air wall.
No, Midori even made a comment of, he can shoot wind from his hands too. So that's another quirk. I counted that one.
So let's just count that. So that's going to be his third one. And then originally I wrote down Blue Tokyo Ghoul.
Yeah.
Because the first time he throws out these dragon heads,
Out of
it
his
comes
back.
It comes out like a fucking Tokyo Ghoul, like, what do you even call that thing? Like a slither thing. It just...
I said, Blue Eyes White Dragon as soon as it came out. I'm sorry, I had to go there.
Yeah, that's the main thing I thought as soon as I saw that thing had a head and it split into two, I'm like, dude, that's 2 eyes white. Where's the third one? I need to see the 3 eyes blue dragon. Whatever.
Blue Eyes White Dragon.
I needed to see the blue eyes white dragon times 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so after Tokyo Ghoul's Blue Eyes White Dragon, he absorbed the lightning, and I'm pretty sure he absorbed lightning from the dad.
Yeah. No. The dad was the ability to
regenerate type A blood.
Yep.
Type A blood?
Mm-hmm.
Type A blood.
Okay.
So it didn't work on 9 because he needed
type B blood.
Yep.
Okay, so if we're going to get so if that's going to be the case, then he had already previously absorbed a lightning ability from someone else.
Yeah, you see that in the attack of the city.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then his 6th ability was to regenerate type A blood, which was a complete dud because because our villain is not a type A blood, so he needs to get B blood, which is going to be why he goes after the little boy.
Yep.
Which is why he's going to be type B blood, which is the whole point of this fucking movie.
Yep.
Okay, so there's 6 of the 9.
His eyes would flash and he could read the power level of whatever, or the quirk of whatever he was looking at.
Yeah, that was
really?
the 7th one. He had the ability to. It was one of the cat girls' abilities where they could I kind of want to call it I want to call it a pseudo. I'm drawing a blank, but he could see people with abilities and basically be able to read their abilities.
Sure.
Read and know the intensity of.
Yeah. So, and I want to say in the first season when they went to that island with the 3 or what was that group of cats? Do you remember what?
It's bringing up a memory, but that was so many years
ago. That was
Wow.
season 1.
But it is bringing up quite a memory.
I want to say one of them had that ability that All for One stole.
Okay.
So that kind of helps bring them together. I
Okay,
think.
so he's got some kind of scanning radar ability.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's 7 right there.
So
He
7.
when he tried stealing All for One, he did make the mention, I couldn't steal it, rather, it didn't fit the slot.
Yes, because he tried stealing Midoriya's power.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much the exact quote. It didn't fit the slot, which is very strange.
That was a strange phrase. I kept note of that. I'm like, wait a minute, it didn't fit the slot. What does that mean? And so that's kind of like, maybe he can only steal certain kinds of powers. But I don't know what the last 2 are. Maybe it's like,
Well, that was it. Maybe it left. from what we can really tell, it left it open to a freebie slot, and it left it open to stealing that kid's regeneration, B blood.
Well, yeah, that was definitely going to be one of them.
Right. And I'm just going to be fucking frank at this point. Like, I wish this movie stole that kid's power, because I think that totally stole a huge plot point that, you know, could have gone above and beyond. Like, that's how most movies work. Like, you need to prevent someone from doing something, and somebody does that something, and now you have to stop him from going even further by going even further. And
filling the 9 slot kind of thing.
Yeah, so like I know it's weird to say, like, 9 should have completed his complete 9, and then we should have seen a complete annihilation of 9 through the power of friendship. And
I mean, that's kind of what happened in the movie, but
ish, yeah.
But without getting there.
But, you know, this is kind of one of those off-ball kind of movies, because we see that the main villain doesn't come to his complete state, and then
he actually gets beaten in a super weakened state, actually.
Yeah, like, he almost gets, he's already weakened before he even gets there.
Blood.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, there is... Oh, I just want to punch holes in this movie.
So again, why was he your favorite then? He kind of had a lot of.
I just liked his quirks.
Okay,
that was
like his combination of abilities.
Something different. I liked his quirks.
I 100% agree. I think the idea of getting multiple quirks is amazing. Like,
yes.
Now that you say that, I kind of agree with you.
All right, all for one.
Yeah.
But All for One is the only reason why, and this being a movie, why they couldn't let him get all 9 of his quirks. Or the movie would have been like 5 movies long, 3 movies long, whatever you want to call it.
Dude, they could have turned this movie into a legit fucking arc.
Yes.
Into a complete series. This concept of a movie, fucking minus Bakugo getting the quirk.
Pseudo.
You know what? If they were going to make this canon and make it part of a legit story and make it like work/not work, I would have been totally okay. Oh my god, this would have made a perfect series. They turned an entire movie into something that could have been an entire series, and they could have made everything tenfold better.
Did anyone notice Bakugo's concern for Midoriya's dream when they realized they couldn't beat 9 on their own, and they're like both of them are in a Blue Eyes White Dragon clutch.
Yeah.
And Midoriya's like, hey, Bakugo, there's only one way we can do this. And Bakugo looks at him and goes, I know, but if we do this, you're going to be abandoning your dream. Is that okay? And that was the first time Bakugo actually shows concern for Midoriya.
Yeah.
But he goes along with it, and they both do their Detroit Punch together, which I thought was awesome. But kind of before that, I really loved... Okay, sorry, I'm going on a tangent. I'll go on
Wait, yeah. Just before this tangent continues, just in case, for whatever reason, our listeners don't know, Deku ends up giving Bakugo a droplet of his blood and shares the ability for one for all.
Technically, he passes it along to Bakugo.
Right.
That was his intent.
So he gives, just to make it more simpler, he gives the power of All Might to Bakugo so that he can momentarily control that superpower. And together, they're like essentially 2 All Mights versus 1 enemy. Yep. And that's how this movie comes to a conclusion.
Which I thought
this was a super cheap, like, this brings me back to the Brawly days. Like we've made a villain too fucking powerful. Let's make some cheat code way to kill him. And yeah, let's just have 2 All Mights again. I mean, not to say that like our last movie, two heroes, but like let's just make a cheat code that like to make 2. Yeah. Oh my god. Just 2 All Mights again.
Let's give Bakugo one for all as well, and then both of them are going to be able to use it at 100%. Deku
100. Oh, that's another thing to bring up. Yeah. Itadori went 100% on his punches, and we've seen in the past that that just obliterated his body. Not only did
not Itadori,
what?
Izuku Midoriya. You said Itadori.
Who's Itadori?
That's what you said.
I don't know who's Itadori.
Itadori is from Jujutsu.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. I don't know why I brought him.
Let's bring him into the story.
Yeah, let's just bring Jujutsu.
Yeah, so they use 100% of One for All, which is crazy to think that apparently Deku and Bakugo can use 100% at this moment in time.
Yeah, and still like walk around, because at this time Deku cannot withstand anything. I think he said in the beginning of the movie he can only withstand 20%.
Yep.
And not only that, but Bakugo literally just obtained this power.
Mm-hmm.
He has no idea how to withstand anything. And we've learned through the past couple series, I say seasons, that, Deku destroys his fucking body after a finger flip. And here we have Bakugo using, his fire explosions to contain his speed. The moment he does a little fire blast out of his hand's gonna be fucking exploded.
Well, so it's one of those things because he had his quirk his entire life, because All Might kind of talks about it in the beginning, how...
Ooh, okay, I see where you're going with this.
Basically, all One for All does is it basically super enhances the abilities, kind of like going Kaioken or whatever you want to think of. So I think Bakugo could have used his explosive abilities right away, but that super strength and the other things that he does is not something I believe would have been possible.
Yeah.
And they called it Detroit Smash and not California Smash when they were using 100%, or United States of Smash, which I was that's what made me wonder if the names of the Smash had anything to do with the power level, because here they are doing 100% Smash and they called it Detroit Smash together, when All Might calls it United States of Smash when he uses 100%. So that's kind of what got me questioning, what do the names have to do with the power level? This movie was what made me question that.
Yeah, because there are so many... Yeah, because we see back to back in such a short term all of these names of all of these Smashes. So now we have to question the power level of what. And then
Deku uses, I think it's St. Louis Smash at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, there's one of those too.
Yeah, St. Louis Smash.
We're just going to name names and just call it.
Which is a bigger city than Detroit, I think.
I'm not going to
I've never been there, so I don't know.
Even still, I don't understand how we're going to go, this one's 100%. All right, but this one's also 100%, but we're going to call them two different things.
But kind of going off of names of moves and that fight scene in general, one thing that I freaking love, and I remember replaying it in my head 1,000 times, was when they're fighting 9 and Midoriya just gets blasted into the air. And he's just flying, he's out of control, and Bakugo just grabs him midair, explodes backward, or it does an explosion backwards in order to fling Midoriya back at 9, and goes, Explodapult! Like catapult, but explodapult, and just launches poor Midoriya right back into the fight midair. And I'm like, oh, this poor dude. But he took it and he kept the fight going. But I was like, oh my god, could you just imagine being Midoriya in that scene and just first you just get blasted by the enemy, blasted again by your friend, and thrown back into the fray. I thought that was not only badass but hilarious.
I will say I thought visually this was the best fight.
Agreed.
I think the cop out at the end with Deku getting One for All back because Bakugo fell asleep before the completion of the transfer was kind of a cop out. But as far as the fight visually, all the moves, the villain, I thought it was the best fight out of the three of them.
I agree. And that's kind of why I said I wanted this one specifically to be part of the main series, because they could have made this a complete arc. Even if they wanted to temporarily give Bakugo some of, All Might's power and then give some fake ass reason why he would forget that he even had it. And then not only forget that he had it, but essentially lose complete ability of it.
Yeah.
Your body's destroyed for no reason. Just fucking forget about it.
Yeah, I thought that was a really weird out.
Yeah.
So besides that part, I thought the fight was amazing.
So with him being your favorite character, were you really disappointed when Tamura came in and just did his decay thing on him and just turned him into dust?
Nope, not even a little
bit.
You
thought it was deserved?
It was...
I'm sorry, I'm gonna jump into this. I'm very... Do you wanna...
That was a question for Matt.
Okay, I'm sorry, yes, Matt. You are 100% right.
I am not disappointed because, one, this is not canon for the mangas as far as I'm aware, and it gets rid of him, so nobody can be like, well, where'd Nine go? Is Nine going to come back? Is he going to be in the series? It's like, no, he's just nothing. He's dust.
You got Thanos sapped.
Move on. It's like, okay, cool. He's done and over. He got his 30 seconds of fame.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
So what were you going to say, Lance?
I was going to say, like, this just makes for certain that he's not going to come back.
Yep.
So that just, like, cuts him off. So I was totally cool with that.
I had to remind myself that this movie wasn't canon at multiple points during it.
I know!
'Cause I'm like,
that's what I'm
how
saying.
are they going to continue with this? And I'm like, oh, wait, it's not canon, of course.
They're not. It's okay.
But this, I truly think that the second movie out of all of these movies could truly become canon.
It felt the most real.
Yes.
Yes, it did feel the most storyline-esque as far as everything was concerned. The first one had some points that you could see, like the going back in time for All Might.
Especially the first half.
Yeah.
The first half was totally, like, story-esque. It was believable.
The third one, that was 100% I believe in a movie, which we can talk about once we get to that point. But as far as this one's concerned, I could see this legit being, like, if they were to make this kind of like what they did with Demon Slayer, where they turn this movie into part of a season, I could see that happening.
Right?
I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest.
No.
Or at least wouldn't have been surprised.
Minus
It's a
the
little late
whole,
at this point.
minus the whole bullshit where Deku gives Bakugo all for one.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, Deku gives Bakugo one for all.
Yeah, that's the right way to say it.
Yeah.
I didn't exactly know how to feel about that. Spreading his power, and then not only spreading his power, but like it not fully taking in and then getting his power back.
Yeah.
Like I think that was just the biggest cop out, the biggest cheat code. I don't know how to throw this any further, but like
As we like to say, anime logic. That's all it is. It's
that's
just
all-
anime
that
logic.
was
And
anime
that's
logic, exactly.
So I guess one last thing, something that we didn't really cover is Nine's accomplices. I guess we covered Chimera, but the other two, do you think they were all that relevant? What do you think? of them?
We had the girl with the bladed hair
and nails.
Nails. Oh yeah, her nails were also blades. So we can say what collagen at that point.
Yeah.
All her collagen was bladed material. And then what was the other one?
The ninja who could like turn things, everything his ribbons. He could control things with his ribbons.
inanimate objects he could make come to life.
Oh,
That's
and
right.
animate objects, he could control them. Like, he captured Bakugo for a while.
But he could only control Bakugo's suit. He couldn't actually control Bakugo.
Correct.
So,
Okay.
yeah, I liked they call her Slice. That's what her name was.
Mm-hmm.
I liked her over the other guy. I'm trying to blank on what his name is.
Ribbon Boy?
Yeah, the ribbon guy. Just like he kind of just got defeated way too
Oh,
easily.
Mr. Compress.
Is that what it
Yeah.
Is that what the internet says?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Compress? Okay.
But Mr. Compress is Compress.
Oh,
is
Mummy. That's it.
Mummy. Okay, yeah,
I was mixing the two up.
Yeah, Mummy. Yep. Yeah, I just thought he got defeated way too easily. His quirk was kind of cool at first, and then he was like, he didn't really do anything with it.
Right.
He just kind of made a couple monsters and then flung everything around a lot.
Whatever
And
happened to him? He was
Yeah.
held in that prison and then never made mention of again.
He got captured and then he got interrogated, and that's as far as the movie went.
Yeah.
They didn't
Well,
go
loose
any
end.
further. Yeah.
yeah, he got captured in the beginning, in the first battle with all of them, and then they tried interrogating him. Like, they talk about interrogating him, and he's not talking or something along those lines.
Yeah, that's the last we heard about him.
So, that was it. And
That's why a season about that could be worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
But between the two, I thought Slice was better. Just she held up a lot more compared to Mummy or whatever his name is.
Yeah, she was more one-on-one combat.
Yeah.
She had she could have just held up her own. She was just visually better to watch anything.
Yeah.
Of course, Mummy guy could have done, if he was stronger ability or planned ahead better, he could have done a lot better because, he controlled stuff like, puppeteer style.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, he just turned out to be kind of a bitch.
Yeah.
So in the end, it was whatever.
I don't know. You guys have anything else as far as the second movie's concerned?
I'm pretty tapped out.
I think we covered everything.
All right, cool. So I guess let's go on another short break.
And now that we're back from our break, we are going to talk about the third movie, World Heroes Mission, which came out in 2021. And the synopsis that I will give, I'm honestly just going to steal from AnimeNewsNetwork.com. And what they say is, when a cult of anti-quirk terrorists destroys a city by releasing a gas that causes people's powers to go wildly out of control, Japan's greatest heroes disperse across the globe in an attempt to find the ringleader and bring him to justice. As part of Endeavor's team, Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki travel to Europe's nation of Otheon. But after stopping a robbery gone wrong, Deku finds himself framed for mass murder and is on the run with a 2-bit criminal who is known as Rhodey. And I'm just, fuck this synopsis, and shit goes wrong.
I feel like you should just do your own.
I should have just done my own. This synopsis sucked ass.
Just do it again then. Fuck it.
Okay, so Rhodey needs to transport this suitcase that is supposed to be full of jewels, and shit goes wrong in a complete scramble, and he accidentally picks up a different suitcase and runs away. And we come to find out that the suitcase isn't part of that jewel case, and it contains important information about some real serious shit. So there's a synopsis. Fuck this synopsis. I made it a little bit better. Just a little bit.
I like it.
Alright, so now that we're talking about the third movie, it's most recent. This movie came out in 2021. Today's date is June 4th of 2022. So it came out about a year ago. But we are still relative on about all these major superpowers. Matt, do you have any favorite superheroes or villains from this movie?
Oh man, I'm gonna go with Deku in this one. I think Deku is my favorite.
Oh yeah? Why is that?
Just, I love his array of moves. I love the fact that he kind of got framed and was on the run, so he got to do kind of the villainy type stuff. And it was just, he was a little different from his normal self in a sense.
Yeah.
So I really liked Deku in this one. What about you, Alec?
So, I was kind of torn on this one. I mean, there were definitely characters that I related to the most, like Rhodey. Like him, I have the quirk of not being able to lie. I mean, I most certainly can, but I have such an easy tell that there's no point in me doing so I just kind of avoid that. So I definitely related to that character a lot, but I'm gonna go right back to my first one. I love Bakugo in this movie. I thought he was extremely smart. He had the best fight scene, in my opinion. And in that fight, he went through the most damage overall, and he just kept going. I just loved seeing his persistence and his unwillingness to give up and go through literally everything, using his entire arsenal to bring down an enemy. I thought that really showed his true character of, I will be number one no matter what. Even if I'm facing, 2v1, I'm in there for the long haul and I'm gonna win. So Bakugo definitely goes as my favorite character for this movie. Rhodey, definitely related to Rhodey the best, but I liked Bakugo the most.
Okay.
Way to steal two characters. That's totally fine. Good breakdown of Bakugo. My favorite character in this movie was 100% Deku. Don't get me wrong. Okay, I'm gonna give a second character to this description because Matt already gave Deku. But I just want to throw why I like Deku, and that's because me being as a 100% Spider-Man fan, the way that he was fucking using his black whip to just parkour his way through the city, and just he has his speed to zip from point A to point B to point C, no problem. Shoot his black whip at something and throw himself in one direction that Spider-Man cannot even imagine. To me, I cannot imagine a Spider-Man game being like that. It's like Spider-Man plus the Flash put together. I think that would be an amazing. Oh my god, I would love to play that game. That sounds fucking amazing. Spider-Man plus the Flash.
Kind of plus Superman, too.
Plus Superman and ability, plus a super punch. Oh my god. Oh, that sounds so amazing. I would play that game forever.
Sounds like a game development in the making. We might want to keep this on the hush.
Yeah.
sounds like you would have you'd basically have to do what they did in the second one, where you make the boss so insanely difficult to beat that it doesn't seem realistic.
Yeah, you'd have to go more unrealistic than what is unrealistic.
Superman, Spider-Man, Flash combo. Yeah, that'd be kind of insane.
Throw me some coinage. Anyway, despite Deku being that fucking amazing, oh shit, I did have Plan B.
So kind of before you talk about your second one, since I guess we're gonna do two, Shoto, I loved his fight with the muscular demon person. I thought that fight was great because you get to see him using all of his ice moves, and you finally get to see him doing like legitimate fire attacks.
Well, yeah, because at this point in 2021, when this movie came out, he's using both fire and ice. So he's now accepted the fact that he is comfortable with using all of his abilities.
Yep.
I thought there was a lot of cool introductions of new heroes, like Salam, the Egyptian dude who was like two-dimensional. I thought he was really interesting in the fact that he could pretty much go anywhere because he was two-dimensional.
He threw me off so bad in the beginning.
Oh, did you think he was like a painting or something?
Well, like, just his two-figuredness just, like, it threw me off.
Okay.
Okay, I'm only saying this, one, because obviously I just got done watching Moon Knight, so I've just got done with all the Egyptian shit. And two, Nintendo Plus's expansion, I'm playing Paper Mario, so I'm putting two and two together. Like that just threw me off. Like, this is the worst time. I can't say worst time. It's just a weird time to put those things together. It's so, like, to me, it was just so weird. So it was cool. Not to say that did he do too much? I can't remember too much out of him. Other than his
figured out
speed.
Where the bomb was because he could go anywhere. In the when they were searching for the bombs. And then, so he was kind of a lot like that other girl, Clairvoyance, who had those red eyes that could see through everything, and she had the power of clairvoyance where she could see hidden things. I mean, she was a pretty no-thought character, but I thought they utilized her very well in locating the problem. They needed to find the bombs.
Right. I'm very sorry. I just remembered who I wanted my second favorite character to be.
Oh,
okay.
It was the Arrow chick.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you got a name. Oh, I'm glad you got a name on her.
Yeah.
I didn't even write down a name.
I think they say it like one time in the movie. Guys, I watched. Yeah, I was like, wait, who?
For our viewers, like, she had her hand and she like spread out like her thumb and her pinky and it like made an arrow or like a cross or like a bow.
Yeah.
And the reason why I connect with this so much is because me as a child, I did the same exact thing. I would always hold out my arm with my pinky aiming down and my thumb hanging up, and I would imagine that I would take my middle finger from that and just shoot out an arrow out of that.
Really?
That was my imagination. And to see that my imagination from like 20 years ago coming into an anime that kind of recently came into play had the same exact the same exact thing going on into play. I just loved it.
That's really cool.
It was exactly what I envisioned, and it was perfect for me. It resonated so much from home, so I was really happy to see that.
Nice.
Oddly enough.
Kind of curious, do you guys have any series on when this would have taken place in the series? When it could have possibly taken place in the series?
It would have been after season 5 because Midoriya has full usage of Black Whip and he's using it in different ways than he was in season 5. So this has to take place after season 5.
Right. But as of this moment, we only know season 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was just starting that power.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, because we are all on the same page. Because he just learned Black Whip, and at this movie, he seems to have perfected it. Like, he's Spider-Maning around, no problem.
Yep.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, wait a minute, he didn't have this much mastery
exactly.
At the end.
Like, at the end of, at the end of,
season 5.
Yeah, let's just say season 5.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to give today's date.
Yeah.
He's literally getting the bare minimum. Like, he can probably get one whip out at a time, and here he is throwing all these whips. I mean, sure, this might be a little bit of a, what do they call, a futuristic Future-proof.
Yeah.
They're trying to future-proof this movie a little bit by saying, like, let's just throw a little bit into the future.
Okay.
And just it's just for fun anyway. It's a movie. It's non-canon.
Well, their suits were also a little bit different, if you notice. They were a little bit more badass, a little bit more fleshed out. Like, even Todoroki, he had the hood added onto his suit and, like, the zipper.
I think they introduced a little bit of their futuristic costumes at the end of season 5. Not that I remember too much, because I guess it's been a second, but, like, are they the same, or did the movie give some...
No, they got new ones for the movies. I have to rewatch
different.
season 5 before season 6 comes out.
Okay, so you're able to distinguish?
Yeah, they're different.
Okay,
so their costumes are just for the movies.
Sure. Okay, I guess that's cool. Let's just make them totally different things. They're good for them. I mean, obviously, you don't want to raise any more questions between canon and non-canon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and honestly, as I had mentioned earlier, this is of the three, this is the least one. This is the one least likely to be like, yep, this is canon. Like, I can't argue this one to be canon.
No.
Or it'd be the hardest to argue that it was canon.
No. And the main reason why I want to fight upon this one is because our main villain has the reflective power, and I think that they did the reflective power so poorly. Maybe so poorly in the... whatever. Like, I think this is the weakest of the three bosses. I'm just going to say that up front. Like,
agreed.
I think his power was so amazing, but they just let it go.
Underutilized.
It was underutilized. Like, this dude could have... like, I do have one big question about this that I want to ask you guys, but, like, the reflective power of whatever is given at him is always given back at full value. How do you fight that? And just consistently punching this thing is not...
Yeah, because they talk about... So, basically, what Deku does is, like, trying to think of the right term, but he does more damage than what he can reflect, essentially, is what happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, he just kind of wore it down.
Okay, so Deku...
There was a limit.
Okay, the flicked turn is the name of our ultimate villain. So what you're saying is he was reflecting like 95% of the damage?
No, I think it was just like what his body could take, like what the flick turn villain's body could take, as far as because it's
so he was slowly. All right, so there was like a how do you say it? Regenerative path. Degenerative path. How do you say it? Like
basically, it was we'll kind of think of it like stamina or MP, where it's always going, it's always reflecting, but it uses just a little bit at a time, and eventually it just kind of went to zero, so he could no longer reflect anything, but nobody's ever fought him long enough for it to matter, kind of thing.
Right, okay, so like his ability was only as good as his mana power could reflect backwards?
Basically.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and because Deku and the team had... Okay.
He never gives up, so...
I guess now that you're putting it this way, I was so lost in the battle and all that stuff, I can buy that.
It not only reflected attacks, it reflected emotions as well.
Oh, the emotion deal, yeah.
Yeah, he said that his parents weren't ever able to hug him, his friends weren't ever able to congratulate him, he couldn't experience any... He even said... I couldn't even kill myself. He said
I wrote that down.
Reflect my own attacks.
He reflects emotional touch and death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he couldn't even accept his own death.
Yeah, he definitely insinuated that he tried killing himself because this quirk was causing him so much distress. He couldn't
distress,
he couldn't gain any trust. He couldn't gain any positive emotions towards anyone. So he really kind of had the worst of it as far as villains go. Of course it made this heartless monster.
Yeah, man, this dude was like depression on max.
Yeah.
You're making me feel bad for thinking he had the worst reason for wanting to take over the world, but alright, I guess.
I definitely felt for him. I mean, it was understandable once you kind of looked at it from his pair of shoes.
Yeah,
I just kind of thought of it as woe is me. The world is mean and cruel, so I want to kill everybody.
This guy was depression master.
Alright, okay.
Yeah, and then I thought just putting a limit on reflect was just kind of... I mean, it made sense, but at the same point, kind of goes against what a quirk really is.
Okay, I don't want to go too much further away from his quirk. Let's stay on his quirk talk.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Ayawaza, the one that can negate quirks.
Yep.
Now, let's talk the reflection.
No.
Okay, you're already immediately... Okay. I'm on Matt's page.
I was with you. I thought
You were with
I
me?
was like, why didn't they just send Ayahuasca? He would cancel his reflect, and then he would be quirkless, and then they could easily.
But then we're gonna get into oh my god, now we're just gonna get into a big circle. So Ayahuasca would negate his effect. He would reflect it, negate him and back. It would just be.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I never thought about that.
And then
he
they would
negate the negating.
Oh, and then just a fucking black hole is just gonna emit, and everybody just holds anyone in the sand of the world.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way because that was my thought too. Is well, we'll just send Ayahuasca after him. He would be easy.
Okay, yeah, exactly. That's why I wrote that down. That was my very first thing. Was just negate it.
Oh.
But if he's gonna reflect it, like who overpowers who?
So we're gonna make it way more simpler than that. They talk about it in the first season how he does not have the ability to negate abilities that you can't turn off. So the chick that goes invisible, Toru.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Invisible Girl.
Yep, Invisible Girl. He
Oh,
can't.
I love her.
He can't
She's so
turn
good.
off her ability. So why can he turn off the reflection guy's ability?
Okay.
He doesn't control that ability. It just happens. So that's not.
Okay, so
It's a good thought. Not possible.
Ooh.
his ability needs to be super fucking legit because it needs to be.
So they have to.
Sorry. It needs to be to a T on exactly what he can do because if he can turn off who was that superpower guy with the fucking big ass beak?
Oh, that was.
He turned off his ability for a second, didn't he?
Yes, but he could control his ability.
Okay.
Wait, with the super.
In season 4.
Overhaul.
Overall, yes.
Yeah, season
Oh,
4.
Overhaul was awesome. He hands down because one of my favorite characters.
Yes.
That's a different story.
That season to me is gonna be one of my favorite seasons in all time anime.
Of all time, exactly.
Oh.
Yes. Oh, thankfully. Okay.
But we're talking about the ability to shut down Reflector's ability.
That wouldn't work.
It would have to be whoever. I mean, it would have to be whoever has more willpower, whoever has more strength. I don't know.
Sorry.
What would have happened if Endeavor went against Reflector? Because he
can Endeavor
take back.
Can
his
he
Feral Flames?
endure his own flames? Yeah, that would be the other thing. Like,
Yeah.
Yes, but it'd be one of those things like Deku can withstand his own attacks, but eventually it's going to wear him down.
well, yeah, because the more output he gives, the more it's gonna wear him out. So, like, we need to talk about a hero that can give, that could receive, who can give as much,
Fat
and that
Gum.
would give a bonus off of receiving like the same attribute.
Fat Gum.
Fat Gum, yeah.
He would probably be the only person, but even Fat Gum has a limit to how much he can take. So I still feel.
What about Shadow? Can there be too much Shadow? Like if
Shadow. So
He overpowers himself a couple times.
that one.
he does get over controlled.
Yeah.
That one wouldn't be a good one. I feel Shadow. He's not nearly as strong as Deku is, so it's not. That wouldn't be
Right, but we just have to think at this time, like, who can give themselves power enough to give themselves more power,
But Shadow
and withstand
actual attacks as well. So
Right.
Shadow wouldn't be one of those individuals. So yeah, it's.
I think Midoriya was the only person who could fight Reflect.
But he's not an absorber. I just think ultimately typically the best way to get rid of him would be an absorber attack and absorb, because
I just don't think there is one.
there isn't one. But
So-
then, there's Midoriya who has someone who has the grit to not give up.
Yep.
So that's why he's a hero. And that's all I can say about this. He just has the hero ability to not give up.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be honest, that is why he's the successor for One for All.
Exactly.
Were there any other parts of this movie that you guys really enjoyed?
I enjoyed the very beginning and the very end. Simply because that was really the only parts where it showed all of the teams working together kind of thing.
Yep.
Whereas the rest of the whole meat of the story is just Midoriya's tale with Rhodey, his Rhodey on the road. I wanted to see more of the teams working together all across the world. I thought that they could have definitely built on that a lot more. I understand they did that with the first two movies, and this movie was supposed to be more about Midoriya and his plights kind of thing. I definitely liked seeing all the teams working separately, just like they do in the seasons where, they're all on their own work missions with the other teams. I like seeing, the different factors of things. This team's in France, this team's in Egypt, this team's in America, this team's in Europe. I really like the concept of different teams working together versus seeing one character over and over and over again.
I agree.
Especially in a series that's filled with 20 plus technically main characters.
Yep.
I found one thing that was funny about this movie was that there was bombs, and that was a common theme between another one of the movies. I think it was the first one.
As far as
What do you mean?
I just thought it was funny that they placed bombs to distract the heroes from attacking the main source, so that they were forced to go and take care of.
Were there actual bombs in the first movie? Wasn't that just a threat?
yeah, it was a threat of a bomb.
Yeah, there were threats of a bomb, but I don't actually remember any disarming of any bombs.
And the bombs planted to keep heroes from stopping the villains. That's one line I wrote in Two Heroes. I don't think that they were ever.
There were the security bots, but there weren't any bombs. I don't remember them disarming a
they
single
were
bomb.
all eventually taken care of. Everybody, all the world heroes eventually ended up taking care of all the bombs.
Oh, okay.
That's how the first movie ended, and then this third movie just
Had those giant.
They played along with even more bombs. There was 25 different locations on bombs that would have taken away quirks.
Mm-hmm.
Made they up the stakes. So I thought bombs was just a fun thing to throw out there. We didn't really talk much about Rhodey about this one.
I mean,
He was alright.
he was a side main character.
Yeah.
But
He was a main character for one specific scene.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's all it really came down to.
I felt kind of bad for him. His dad died kind of in terrorist work for this Reflect.
Yep.
And he was just trying to do his best, taking care of his kids, but didn't really have much
His whole-
pizzazz.
His whole purpose for the entire movie was fulfilled at the very end of the movie, and he was just, we need to make him have a reason to be a part of the movie.
Yep.
And that was kind of what they did.
And that was to act like I'm going to play for the villains, but then my birdie's going to say, hey, I'm just kidding, play along.
Yep.
Which we've seen in other anime like
Mm-hmm.
something games.
John and Blake. But yeah, it's pretty common. Just be...
Darwin's Game, that's what I was getting at.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
that was a good show.
Yeah, it was good.
I guess as far as things that other things that I enjoyed this show, this movie was the fight between Bakugo and those two kind of sword arm people. I thought that was just easily the most badass fight out of all three films.
Okay.
I think
it was kind of a sub boss.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, it was a sub boss fight. But at
Yep.
the same time, it was intense as fuck. And Bakugo gets sword stabbed through him. He loses his eye. He gets his shit rocked, but he still goes through and keeps going. And, I felt that, Todoroki had an equally hard fight, but as far as sustaining damage, Bakugo took a hit for the team.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I felt like the main boss fight was Bakugo versus that fucker, because that was the most intense fight out of this entire battle. You were rooting for that battle the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much. It's Bakugo. You want that explosiveness.
Oh, you got it.
You got it. It was so awesome.
And he had such a hard. I think that was the first time where Bakugo had a really difficult time beating someone.
Yeah.
It was 2v1, and then they used the trigger drug to make themselves go I think it was 8 blades against Bakugo.
Yeah,
it went from 4
doubled.
to 8 blades. Yeah, and he really had a tough time, and he's not used to that. He's used to excelling and winning, and this was the first time where he was like, "Wow, these guys are kicking my ass. I gotta pump it up."
Yeah, and he just showed himself up, and then we just had
that's some plus ultra,
and then we just had Deku just fucking trying to get some endurance,
stamina.
It was a stamina battle, and then there was nothing too special in his battle. We got Bakugo in the background doing the actual. He was the main character. He was the main character of this series.
I did enjoy that all three of them had a fight going on at the same time.
At the same time, I did like that too.
And with no help either. All three of them had their own solo boss fight.
Yeah, that was the first time you actually saw them all fighting somebody with difficulty separately.
Yeah.
Somebody was always together. Even if it was a 2-on-2, they always were fighting next to each other.
Which is kind of crazy because I can't believe Shoto had such a problem taking on that guy, especially in the water. Like, dude, you're in water, just freeze the water around him. Like, it sounds so great. I mean, of course, we had that moment with the Chimera where he even said that line. Not that we're gonna go rewind the moment where he said, "Yeah, you didn't freeze the water cold enough to freeze me," which is crazy to say. But like, Shoto had the same opportunity with this crazy ass dude that was cycloning through the water. Like, he could have done the same exact thing.
He didn't do anything during the water.
Yeah,
he just sat there and drowned the whole time until he found an opening.
Yeah, he was about to, and like, we know that Shoto's so much stronger from a year ago when he is today.
Yeah,
and I was just waiting for some shit to go down.
Do you think it's because he's using more fire attacks that he's relying less and thinking less on his ice attacks?
It might be. I mean, I know he has definitely been incorporating more firepower because he knows that it's useful.
I mean, that's how he eventually kills the demon dude, was with his fire attack.
Yeah.
So you need a little bit of both. You need to maybe slow him down with ice and obliterate him with fire. So
yeah, from everything I remember, he was using his fire to kind of enhance his ice, just to kind of go back to what you were saying about relying too much on a fire. I think he still doesn't really rely on his fire too much, but he's not against using it at this point.
Right. I guess I kind of want to see, you know, that if you were to get into scientific terms, and if you were to take a water molecule and split the hydrogen and the oxygen, and all of a sudden you could have an instant explosion. I kind of want to see Shoto do that on accident.
And use the oxygen along with the fire to, like, make an explosion?
Exactly. I think that might be a futuristic kind of...
Don't you think it might be too much Bakugo, though?
Yeah, I think it'd be too much Bakugo.
I think it'll be very Bakugo, but I think it might be like a final season Shoto kind of thing. Like, he learns how to separate the legitness, the molecules, because that's how science works.
Is that season 1 or season 2 where he fights Midoriya in the competition, where he does that move where he moves his hands aside and it literally creates that giant explosion, and that's how he beats Midoriya. Remember, he does the flash fire explosion?
Yeah, that's because he puts fire and ice together. Yeah, that's essentially the same thing. He's putting hot and
see that move
and
again.
Cold together, and because of the combination, it makes a big pop.
That's actually the reason I started watching My Hero Academia, is because I saw a clip of that fight. And I was like, oh my god, that's badass. I want to watch this show now. And
that's how I think. I started watching this shit
right away.
I started watching this from day one.
No, I saw a clip of it and I was like, oh, that's an interesting move. That looks really cool. I'm going to invest in this show. Let's do it.
Oh, that's a big difference.
Yeah, I think I started watching it right away. I don't remember. Man, that was 5 years ago?
Yeah.
6 years ago? Something like that?
Forever ago. I knew from day one that
it's a 7-year-old show.
Yeah.
Blow your mind.
I knew as soon as I saw it got released, I knew this was going to be an amazing show. So
yeah,
I knew it.
So it kind of reminds me a lot of like a childhood version of One Punch Man, where like everybody has like their special powers and superheroes and villains and things, but a lot more tamed, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can kind of see that.
Tamed / like concentrated. Yeah.
That's what really. Who doesn't like? That's why we're all into. Well, not really all, but that's why I'm into like Marvel and things like that, because I love superheroes. They're great storylines.
Yeah,
everyone loves.
We want to see these superpowers come to its greatness, and we just want to see the drama. We want to see why shit goes wrong, and that's why we watch all this stuff.
So which one was your favorite?
Okay, let's start with me. If we're gonna come down to my absolute favorite, I got bits and pieces why I like things and why I don't like things. But if, number one, I like Two Heroes. I like Two Heroes because I think it feels more absolute to the storyline, and I feel like it could be true storyline. The only thing I don't like is how they started incorporating, how they started, touching on sharing the ability to transfer whatever. But if they were to,
you're thinking of Heroes Rising.
Yeah, you're thinking of the second one.
Sorry, you're right. Heroes Rising. Thank you. Heroes. Yes, the second movie. That's what I'm talking about. The second movie.
So the second one is your favorite.
The second one's my favorite.
Okay.
Until they start, everything felt natural as fuck. And then, as long as they made some bullshit, like I know at the end of the movie they made like a legit fucking bullshit reason why. Like, yeah, I forgot that I was I was fighting and I just lost consciousness. consciousness. Like, I want to, if they can kind of legitly make that into a real thing, you know, kind of like Dragon Ball Fusion, like Fusion Patara, whatever. I can play along with that. And then my least favorite one.
So put them in order. So your second one's your favorite. What's
Second
the next
one's my
one?
favorite. And then I'd probably put the first one as my next one.
Okay.
Because I love the ending villain.
Okay.
The Magneto villain.
Mhm.
Okay.
And the only reason why the third movie isn't any better is because I thought the third movie villain was trash.
Yep.
But the first half of the movie where Deku was using his black whip, acting like Spider-Man through all his parkour shit, that would have thrown me up above something. It's just, it just came down to the final villain.
Okay.
Alec, let's throw it to you.
I would have to agree with you. My favorite was the second movie. I definitely enjoyed watching that one a lot more simply because it felt like I was watching the show, which I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
The fight scenes were great. I thought the villains were very adequate, and I thought the team handled themselves for not having any heroes behind them, you know, saving the day. I thought they handled it really well. My second, again, has to go to movie one. I loved that last fight scene. Really kind of took it over the top. I thought that was brilliant. Very well animated. And the third one would have to go to the third movie. I'm going to be honest. I liked watching the teamwork involved in the first two movies, and I just didn't see that involved in the third movie as much as I wanted to. I did really like the triple boss scene at the very end, and that was his big redeeming quality, but I still think that overall it goes 2, 1, 3 for me. How about you, Matt?
Okay. And my list is actually going to be a little bit different than you guys. So the first one was actually my favorite. Part of that in the first one, I thought there were kind of, besides the fight in the second one, I thought there were a few more memorable scenes in the first one than the other three.
Yeah.
Also, it had my favorite one-liner, which was "Do it for the harem."
Oh, yeah.
Do it for the harem.
When, what's his name?
Mineta.
Mineta was climbing up that tower top, and he's like, do it for the harem, do it for the harem, do it for the harem. He's messing up, and that was like a 10-second scene, it felt like.
Well, I love Kaminari would always like hype him up. The only way to get Mineta to do anything is to let him know that like, hey, girls are watching. And they did. They paid notice to him after. Remember, he got all nervous and do it for the harem. It might be the greatest. I mean, that's better than do it for the vine. I mean, I would much rather do it for the harem. I don't know about you guys.
So it's definitely the best one-liner of the three. And I thought I loved the backstory of All Might, and then the reason for David Shield doing what he did.
I agree.
I thought it was the most relatable or realistic, just my favorite one. And I thought that of the three, it was the one that if they were to make it a part of the series, would be the easiest to make it a part of the series without having to give like some bullshit.
Some bullshit, yeah. Especially because All Might had his superhero sidekick right there.
Yep.
Like that, I think that was already canon? I'm pretty sure. I feel like he's already been made mention of.
I recognize the name when they started bringing it up, but I don't remember when they started talking about David Shield.
I know it's been years.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as David was brought up with the sidekick deal, I'm like, that sounds familiar. I totally accept wherever this is going to go.
I think that's
what I took it as.
I think that was in the fourth one when Deku is talking to, it's the guy that can see into the future that died in the fourth one. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but it's the hero work study, and they do the fight in the room and stuff, and they're talking.
Oh, the second, the guy with the glasses.
Yep, the guy with the glasses.
Crap, why can't I remember his name?
Night Eye? Is that what it was?
I'm running a blank for a moment.
Hawk?
No,
hold on. Now
it's something I. But anyway, that's about the time period, I think. Don't quote me on that one. I think that's when he brings up David Shield's name. But even still, like, that's the one I can see being the closest to canon out of the three.
Yeah.
The second one, mainly because it had my favorite fights in it. Like, basically the first fight with Nine and the second fight with Nine. Plus, I like the way they got out, how you saw them learning from their mistakes. So they used the guy that can use electricity. I'm drawing a blank on his name. The one that goes stupid when he uses too much electricity.
Oh, Kaminari?
Yeah, when they used Kaminari to basically act as a lightning rod. Yeah. Because they knew the 9 was going to use that ability when he got to the brink of basically getting pushed too far.
Yeah, because that kind of showed that that was almost his ultimate attack.
Yep. Yeah,
it's a super lightning blast. It's going to take pretty much anyone out.
So it was great to see them learning from their mistakes. And then the third one, as far as a movie is concerned, I thought the third one was a great movie. Being a part of the series, it was fine.
Yeah.
Like, as something that would be the most canon. The villain was fine, besides his woe is me, I hate everybody because they can't love me.
Yeah. That's what it really came down to, is I thought everything leading up until the villain was fucking amazing. I just thought the villain was just lacking.
The villain was probably the biggest letdown.
Yeah.
So it was, I thought the visualization of all the movies were great.
Yeah, they were all fantastic.
The third one was probably the best, and then the last fight scene was definitely by far the best. But it was, that's my order. The third one was good.
I mean, I don't disagree with it. I was pretty much on par with what you were going with. I was just flopping between what I thought was better, the first or the second. Mm-hmm. But I think we all agree that the third one,
the third one
was a little weaker. Just weaker.
Yeah,
it was a great movie. It was just a little weaker.
I was expecting a lot more. I remember watching the previews to this movie, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is going to be awesome!" Deku's framed for murder. They have cool suits. At one point, they're jumping out of the
suits
sky.
For starters made me super excited.
I was really
I'm
excited.
a big suits guy.
And then I feel like it just didn't meet my expectations for the movie. It was a good movie. It's just, I felt that the previews hyped it up too much.
Your mind was pre-blown and it couldn't get re-blown.
Exactly. Yes, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
And I set myself up for it, whereas the first two movies, I purposefully did not watch the previews, and I just dove right into them brand new because I just love the series.
Same deal.
Whereas with the third movie, I made the mistake of watching the previews, which I shouldn't do. Like, I purposely don't do that with any movie nowadays. Because of that reason, I don't want to hype myself up for something just in case it doesn't meet my overall expectations.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So if you just go in blind and accept it at face value, I think that's the best way to watch these movies.
Yeah, definitely. So you guys have anything else to say for the 3 movies?
My Hero Academia is great. Watch it any day.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, all of these movies are definitely worth seeing. Watch them just for fun. Just remember that they are what it is. It's just for fun.
Yep.
So, yeah, watch them. They're great.
Don't be a vigilante in real life. This is meant for pure entertainment value. Don't try this at home.
We don't need no Batmans at home.
Or Kick-Ass.
Yes, Kick-Ass.
Alright, so I think that pretty much closes up for the day. Alright, so that's the end of our episode. Make sure you guys give us a rating on whatever platform you're listening to us, and hopefully we've given you a 5-star performance on this, so you can give us a 5-star rating on everything that you're listening to us. And we'll catch you next time.
And happy 4th of July, everybody.
Have a good 4th of July, everybody.